What's going on, everybody? See, we got a few people already in here. We're back again with another class. Today, I'm going to be going over credit with everybody. Let's see. Let's get this share screen going here soon. Give it one more minute. Let people kind of fall in here. Man, we're already in February. Time is going quick. 2021 is going to fly on by. All right. It's 5:30. What's going on, everybody that's in here? So today we're going to go over credit. And if any of you were in when I was talking about real estate, I kind of started from the beginning of real estate. So I'm going to do the same thing with credit. If you guys are just tuning in, please mute your volume or mute your speakers or microphones. So yeah, like I did with real estate, I started from the very beginning because there's going to be people in here who have experience, who don't have experience, who don't know where to start. So I'm going to do the same thing with this credit like I did with real estate. So we're going to go from the beginning. I'm going to try to keep it within that hour time frame. Last week when I went on here, we went for almost 3 hours. That's because I get excited talking to you guys. I want to make sure that everybody gets heard. I want to make sure everybody, if you guys have questions, I want to make sure you guys' questions get answered. So I know everyone's time is valuable. So I'll try to keep it to an hour this time. But like I said, any questions you guys have, I want you guys to ask them. I want you guys to feel like you're not only getting knowledge from this, but I also want you to feel like you're getting your questions answered at the same time. So without further ado, let's dive in. So a little bit about me and my credit background history. So I never went to a credit repair. I never went to any credit experts or anything like that. So long ago, when I first started my credit journey, my credit was horrible. My very first loan that I got for my vehicle was at 16%. And that's because I had to go through like this fourth party lender who was attached through, I don't even know. It just felt like it was so shady. It wasn't through like a car dealership or a bank. It was just some random lender, but it was 16%, right? That's horrible. And and it was all I could get at the time because one, I was very young. My credit was already bad because I was doing stupid stuff when I was younger. And so my credit was just taking hits. So I was like $3,500 in debt. My credit was in the gutter already. I was young at the time. So I seen that there was a lot of services for people that you could hire to get your credit repaired and get your credit fixed and all this other stuff. But I didn't have the money for it at the time, and I didn't want to do it. And plus, I wanted to learn the process and see what had to be done. I wanted to make sure that everything was done right because it was under my name. I didn't have the money at the time, and I just was curious to what I can do to improve my credit and what I can actually do to leverage my credit. So I figured if I paid somebody to do these things for me, I would never learn any of that stuff. And I'm actually really glad that I took the time to learn how to fix my credit myself, because when I did that along the way, I was able to learn how to leverage my credit as well. So that's something completely different. Um, so anyway, so there was a lot of things that was on my credit. Some things can stay on your credit report for 3 years. Some things can stay on your credit report for 7 years based on what it is, even after you pay it. So I was learning all these things along the way. So that's why I'm here today to kind of teach you guys. So a lot of questions people want to know is, how can I get to 800? But I promise you, if you get into the 800 range at that point, it's really not even going to be any more beneficial to you from the person that's a little bit less than that. So 800 is the goal, but it takes time. It does. It matters how old you are because of how long you've had your credit and all these different things to get to 800. But we'll get into that. But like I said, let's go ahead and let's dive into this thing. Let's see. Share my desktop with you guys. All right, here we go. Let's start this thing off right. So here we go, my credit guide. All right. What's a credit score? So your credit score is made up of a three-digit number, what you typically see. So when you go look at your report, you know how you see it's between 300 to 850. So that number is so lenders can check to decide how likely you are to repay your credit card or your loan on time. When you have higher credit score, you're more likely to qualify for loans and credit cards at terms that are a lot better compared to someone with a lower credit score. And this is very important because it end up saving you hundreds or thousands of dollars. So let's just go back to what I was telling you guys about my about the vehicle. So by me having horrible credit and having to get 16%, not only does that mean my interest rate was high, but that means I'm paying a lot more for my vehicle versus someone whose credit might have been better. They would have probably been able to get 8%, 5%, 3%, 1%. Sometimes they do 0% deals. So uh, I end up paying more over time because that interest rate was so high. So it's like I was being punished for having, it's like you almost get punished for having bad credit. So this is why you need to take it serious and start working on build it, especially, if you're going to get loans. So if you're going to get personal loans, if you're going to end up getting a loan to maybe start a business, if you're going to start getting, if you want to get into real estate and you want to leverage banks and lenders, they're going to be looking at your credit. So some people like to say cash is king. Yes, cash is king, but eventually you can run out of cash. Even if you have a lot of money, if your money gets tied up in a lot of investments, let's say you want to go get a loan from a bank because you found a good business opportunity. You just didn't want to touch any of your money that you have in your investments. You want to make sure you can do these things. Or if you don't have any money and you want to be able to leverage the bank to start to get into real estate or start a business or whatever it is that you want to do to give yourself the best rate, you need to focus on working on getting your credit pretty good. So that's why you're here now, to work on that. So how to get your free credit report. So everyone is entitled to a copy of their credit report. You get this annually. You can get it from all three of the credit reporting agencies, which is going to be Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And you can get this every 12 months. If you want your annual credit report for free, you can get it online by mail, or you can call over the phone, and you could visit www.annualcreditreport.com. So if you've never utilized this, a lot of people might have different apps on their phone that might show them their credit. Pull your credit report from annualcreditreport.com. I know there's a lot of other agencies out there that say that you can get your credit report by them, but stick to these agencies, stick to the actual websites, not like a third party. You want to get your accurate credit report number. So a lot of times people will have those different apps on their phone and they'll check their credit report and they'll see their score is something different if they go get a loan, if they go to a bank or if they go get a phone or whatever it is, and they see their credit report, and they're like, the numbers are different than what it shows on your phone. This is why, because a lot of times those third parties get your information late, so that it might not be up to date and current. So yeah, so go to annualcreditreport.com. Do it every year. It's good for you just to see what's on your report. There's a lot of good reasons, and we'll get into that. So this is what makes up a typical credit score, right? A big portion of it, you see that 35% is the payment history of your credit. So that's how often are you paying, how often are you making your payments? Are you making them on time and things like that? Another one is your current total debt. So a lot of times, like if you go to get a home loan or things like this, they want to know what's your debt to income ratio. This is where they're going to be pulling that debt. They're going to see what your current total debt is at. So anything that you've had to use your social security number for, if they're gonna, it used to be phones a lot. Now a lot of phones don't report. But on a side note, you should be having your cell phone providers report to your credit agencies, to the three credit agencies if they're not. And a lot of them stopped doing it. They used to do it automatically, but now all you have to do is just call them and tell them you want them to report it to the credit agencies, especially if you're paying your phone bill on time and things like that. That's something you want to be getting credit for. Another one is the length of credit history. Um, so a lot of times people will pay off their credit cards and then they'll cut up those credit cards and then they'll cancel those accounts. Do not do that, because The length, even if you have a zero balance and you never use it, you're still getting credit for. You're getting credit in multiple ways. Actually, you're getting credit for the length of your credit history, and you're also getting credit for your current total debt because they're using whatever your maximum number is that you have on your credit cards. Those are the numbers that they're using. So if let's say you have, let's say you only have one credit card and it has $1,000 limit, and let's say you used it up at one point in time, and eventually you paid this credit card off, you paid it down, you paid it to zero, you cut it up, um, and you didn't do anything with it, right? So that total limit that you had was 1,000, right? And if you close it, that means that's closing one, that's closing the length of the history, and that's closing one of your limits. So the higher, you got to look at it like this: the higher that your limits get and the less that you use, that's going to be more credits going to your credit score because you're not using any of that. It's considered debt. Whatever that maximum amount that they allow you to have, it's different for everyone. Some people's credit cards are 300, some people limits are 500, some are 1,000, some are 10,000. So they're looking at that. So keep that in mind. Don't close out those credit cards when you get the balances to zero. Very important. Request for new credit, that's going to be 10%. And so anytime you get a hard hit, when you go apply for a loan, they're going to run your credit. If you apply for a credit card, they're going to run your credit, things like that. And then also the types of use of credit that you have. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, these are the credit types. So you have installment loans, auto loans, student loans, furniture loans. You have your bank credit cards, your retail credit cards, your mortgage loans, your gas station credit cards, unpaid loans, and your rental data. So these are the different types of credit that you can get. So you see that some, like the Shell gas stations, they have their own credit cards. That's going to fall under the gas station credit cards. A lot of people have like the Macy's or Forever 21 or a lot of those big retail stores. That's going to fall under the retail credit cards. And then if you get a bank credit card, all these have their different categories, and that falls back into the different types of credit in use. That 10% that you see in the top left at like the 11 to 12 o'clock, that's what it's talking about, the different types of credit that you have. So I would recommend, if you are going to get credit cards and you are responsible, I would say try to touch these different categories. So if there's a gas station that's in your area that you use a lot when you commute, and if they have a gas station's rewards credit card, I recommend getting that because it's going to help you for the different types that you have. It's a small portion of your credit, but these little things help. If there's a certain store that, if you have a family and you guys do school shopping or, holiday shopping, I would recommend getting a retail credit card because that's a different type. So keep these down. Like I'm saying, I'm not saying get a card to go use them, but if you're going to be responsible, use them and pay them off, then I would recommend getting it because it's going to be working to your advantage. And this is how you're going to build up your credit, right? By having different types of credit, keeping your balances low or at zero and things like that, the length of the credit. So back to this chart, that's how it all is kind of coming together in a circle. So let's keep it moving. So what's on a credit report? So there's going to be a lot of different things on a credit report. I'm going to show an example of what a credit report looks like. Hopefully everybody on here has had the chance to kind of either see what their credit report is. So if you have never seen your credit report before, or if it's been a long time since you've seen your credit report, go back to the after this gets done recording, when you go back and rewatch it, go back on there and look and see, get that website so you can go and check your credit report and you can get it for free. But so here are the things that are going to be on there. So your personal identifying information is going to be your full name, your current and past addresses, date of birth, your social security number, and your employer information. So actually, this has actually helped me out a lot. So this is kind of a side note, but if you ever have to do like a background check or things like that, I know a lot of people are getting CCWs and they're needing a lot of that information. You can go on your credit report and see what your past addresses were. So you can kind of use your credit report as a lot of things, not only to know what's on your credit, but if you need to get past addresses and things like that, or past employers, you can find some good information on there. All right, but anyways, we continue. And so payment information that's going to be on there, all your monthly account payment information is going to be on there. So if you have Remember, I said a Macy's card. So if you have a Macy's account, however long you've had that account, you're going to see for each month. And then you're going to see if you've been making those payments on time, it'll be a green check. And if you haven't, it'll be a red X in it. But like I said, we're trying to keep away from having those red X's. We're only trying to get those green checks in every way on our credit and in our bank account. All right. So let's see. And your debts are going to be on there. So all your debts owed, including your mortgages, any auto loans, your credit cards, those things are going to be on there. And public records. So any bankruptcies, civil judgments, and tax liens. These are the horrible categories. These are the categories you want to stay away from because they can hold you down for a long time. So uh, go back to my story on when I was on my journey to build my credit report. So I had a lot of things, right? So if you get for instance, mine was a hospital bill that I never took care of, and so they end up sending it to collection. So I didn't know that that fell under the category of things that will stay on your credit for 7 years, because certain things like if you have like a credit card from like a Macy's or a bank card, those type of things are going to typically stay on your credit report for 3 years. But like let's say you get a not necessarily a speeding ticket, but some type of ticket that's dealing with uh, whether it be law enforcement or I don't know, something that's not going to get you locked up, or like for me, for instance, it was medical bills. That goes in, that falls under a different category, and that stuff will stay on your credit report for 7 years. So even after you pay the balance in full, from the moment that it was put on your credit report, and then once you finish paying it, then you got 7 years from that point. And so a lot of stuff will be 3 years. Most stuff will be 3 years, even after you pay it. You can contact some agencies and ask them to get it removed. Let's say it's been 2 years or 2.5 years. I have got things taken off before the 3 year mark, but when it comes to those 7 year stuff, it's almost impossible to get that stuff off. Let's keep it moving. All right, we're continuing on what's on your credit report. Any revolving credit that you have, installment loans, your credit limits, your loan amounts, your recent payments, your individual and joint responsibility. So if you put your name on someone's loan or someone else put their name on a loan for you, you're going to see all that information on there. Hard inquiries. So these are when you apply for a credit, a hard inquiry is placed on your credit report. So before you go somewhere, before you give someone your social security number, one, you need to ask them, hey, are you running this on my credit? And if they are running it on their credit, ask them if it's going to be hard or soft. Um, and there's a big difference. We're going to get into that. But if it's a hard one, you want if they say soft, make sure they have that in writing, because there's been times where I've went places and they told me it was going to be a soft, but it ended up being a hard inquiry. So don't take their word. Ask to see. They should have something on file. Ask to see. Don't just take their word, because you don't want to end up like me and find out the hard way. Trust but verify, right? And then there's going to be negative information. So any late payments that you have, any collections, any settled accounts, any repos that you've ever had, charge-offs, and other derogatory information. These are all the things that are going to be on your credit report. So a lot of people want to know, like, when should they use their credit? When should you use your credit card? So a lot of people get credit cards and they use them wrong. They think of it as a personal piggy bank, and you shouldn't be thinking of it that way, because that's how you're going to end up under every month. You're going to constantly be having to, if you're paying the minimums, you're constantly paying catch up, because not only are you incurring interest every month, but it's like if you keep using it and you keep incurring interest, it's like you're going to never, and you're just paying the minimums. Eventually, that interest part is going to end up being more than what your minimum payment is, and you're going to never pay these credit cards off. It's literally going to be a revolving cycle. And I truly believe when they came out with credit cards, I believe this is the intention they had, right? They wanted to keep people in debt. And this is a good way to keep people in debt. A lot of people have credit card debt because, things come up, or they just look at it as a personal piggy bank. But if you start looking at it as a way to leverage banks, as a way to start increasing your credit so you can start leveraging your credit, start making these credit cards work for you and not the other way around, right? We don't want to be working for these credit cards. We want to be um, putting these credit cards to work for us. So when to use credit, find these good cashback rewards. I don't have a plug for them, but I personally like the Chase Sapphire Reserve because I'm a traveler. So they give great travel rewards and they give great money back on just daily purchases. So if I go get some gas or I go get some groceries or go get this or get that real quick, I'll use it just to get those points. And then most of the time I'll pay that card off before it's due, or I'll just pay it once I spend it right away. But you want to get to that point later down the road. You kind of um, want to show these credit card companies and these credit agencies that you're going to be good with debt. And like I said, this is something that we'll get into a little bit further. You don't want to just pay your balances off every single month before, right? And that sounds bad. You want to keep it low, but the reasoning behind that is because you want to show these banks that you're able to be responsible with borrowing money. And they also, they're not going to bump your scores up if you're just constantly paying off your credit cards all the time, because then you don't need any credit, right? So they want to make a little something in order to get your points up. It's kind of a give. But once you get to a point when your credit is good and you don't really care about having to increase your credit, once you get to a certain point, then you can just, once you swipe it, just go ahead and pay it back and just collect it as you're just doing it for the rewards at that point. Um, for those one-time bonuses. So if a lot of you guys follow me on social media, I'm always talking about churning these bank accounts and churning these credit cards. And what I mean by that is certain credit cards will give you $100 or $200 or $300 if you sign up and if you spend a certain amount in a certain time frame. So most of them will be, if you spend $1,500 in 2 to 3 months, they'll give you $150 credit or $300 credit. So that's, you got to think about, in 3 months, you're going to spend $1,500 on, gas, food, groceries, little things here and there. You're going to end up spending $1,500. So it's like, if you're going to spend the money anyways, why not open up this account that's giving this bonus out, spend whatever the requirement is because you were going to spend it anyway, pay it off, collect that one-time bonus. If you like the card, keep it. If you don't, figure out when you can cancel the account. And then also figure out when you can reopen another account, because there's a lot of times I'll open an account, I'll get the bonus. They say I have to keep the account open for 3 months. Then I'll keep it open for 3 months and get my bonus, close it out. Then there'll be like a 3 month waiting period before I can redo that again. So I'll just do it again. So like I said, it doesn't cost me any money. I'm going to spend the money anyway. So why not get that free $150, $200? Like, that's money that you get for just opening an account, literally. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of also the reward points for the traveling, the dining, the gas, all that. So if you have a business, if you travel a lot, if you're in the industry where you're taking people out to dinner a lot, or if you travel a lot for work, or all these different things, if you can find those good cards that have these reward points for things that you're going to already do, take advantage of it. I know someone who um, their company flies them out of state a lot for work. So their flight and everything is paid for, but they get per diem. So instead of using the per diem money, they just use the card and then they pay the card off with that per diem money. And so it's like they got per diem money handed to them. So that's free money. And then, when they go out to eat or whatever they do, they use their credit card, and then you just pay it off with the per diem money that you get from your company. So this person, I know they can stay every time they travel personally, because they're traveling so much for work. They get free reward points pretty much from their job, from just being smart and just using that. So be smart with this stuff. If you can get the reward points for something that you're going to already do, get a good reward card that's going to be great for what it is that you're doing. All my frequent flyers out there. There's a lot of great, like I said, right now, I think I probably can fly for free for the whole rest of the year, because when all this stuff hit, I wasn't traveling much internationally. I was still traveling domestically, but obviously I couldn't travel internationally. So I was just racking up, I'm still spending money every month. I still got to pay for this, still got bills. So I'm constantly using my reward card and I'm just racking the points up. So once these international borders open up, best believe I won't be in the United States too often. I'll just touch back down to get my I'll just touch back down to just say, I came, touch down, I'm out of here. All right. Safety, to help avoid fraud. you know, when you're going out of country, when you're going to like rental places and things like that, you're protected. When you have credit cards, a lot of these credit cards will protect you, you know, because some countries are shady. Uh, a lot of times I don't want to put any specific countries on blast, but when you go, you know, down certain areas, they just do shady stuff down there. So make sure you have a good credit card that will protect you and help you if fraud does happen. There's been instances where I've taken a trip somewhere, used my credit card. When I got back home, found out that my credit card was charged for $500 more at the place that I went to. I called my bank that I had my credit card with. I said, hey, I don't know what happened, but I didn't spend that much money. So they credited me the money. This is the Chase Sapphire. They credited me that money right away. They did their investigation. They found out I was telling the truth, and that was that. So credit cards can help. Some credit cards, when you get rental cars, you don't have to worry about getting insurance or if your insurance covers it or not, because certain credit cards have in there that if you use your credit card to do a rental, they'll cover the insurance for up to a certain amount. So look into all these things. A lot of these cards do have a lot of great benefits. So a lot of people, you know, I was when I was growing up, I was taught, you know, if you can't afford to pay for it for cash, then you can't afford to pay for it. So I was scared to get a credit card. So I never had got a credit card until I was later in my 20s, right? So I wish I would have got a credit card sooner if I would have known all the advantages that come for a credit card, because you know a lot of people just say they're scared of credit cards, they want to avoid having a credit card because you know they don't want their credit to be bad, they don't want to, you know, overspend. Just be responsible. You know, you're an adult, right? You got to handle business. You got certain, as an adult, you have certain things that you have to do, right? You got bills, you got to make money, you got to handle certain things, right? You got your other side of your life where you can bullshit and let whatever happen, but you do have bills every month. You know, you got a job, whether if you're self-employed or you work for somebody, you got to work, you got to do something to get money. So it's, be responsible. Like you got to be responsible. You got to make it to work on time. You got to do this. You got to do that. If you got kids, you got to take care of them, right? You got to be responsible. So the same comes with having a credit card. It's not free money that you can just go play with and do whatever. It's not money to get and blow it on this and that. Don't go get it for Christmas gifts. Don't go get it for this. Like, be responsible with this stuff, right? You got to, certain points in your life, you got to break down and be like, look, this is not for that, right? I don't have it. You know, family has to understand, friends have to understand. If you don't got it, you don't got it. Don't go in debt. Don't put yourself further in the hole, because it's like the further you get in debt, the more catch up you're going to have to play. The further you get in debt, the lower your credit score is going to be. That means you're going to have to play catch up with that. So it's like, if you keep putting yourself in a hole, you're going to constantly be playing catch up. And that's what we're trying to avoid doing. All right. So insurance, that goes back to kind of what I was saying, all the different insurances and perks that certain credit cards have. And then the main point, like we're talking about now, it helps you build your credit, because that's another form of building your credit, back to that pie chart that we showed in the very beginning. All right. Here's kind of an example of what a credit report will look like. Like I said, you're going to have all those things on there that I talked about. You're going to have your name, you're going to have your social security number on there. If you have derogatory information on there, your address on there, if you're married or single, you know, different banks that you have, different accounts that you have. You know, this is just an example from one. Depend on if you look on your phone, on the apps you have, it will look a little bit different. Depending on what website you go to, it's going to look different. But for the most part, they all have the same information. That same information I said in the beginning is what's going to be on your credit reports when you look. All right. So here's an example of having a good credit, good or bad credit. So let's look at an example of how much more you would have to pay when it comes to buying a house, depending on your credit score, right? So I just picked two random people. Person A, their credit score is 745 versus person B, whose credit score is 575. So both person A and person B, they go to find a home that costs 175,000. So for those people in California and New York, I don't want to hear it. There are homes out there that are affordable, right? So, all right, let's keep it going. So they both decided to use the FHA loan. And because person A has better credit, they qualify for a lower interest rate of 3.45%. Not only that, but they qualify for the 3.5% down payment. which is something that the FHA will allow you to do if you fall within the credit criteria, but not to get too much into the FHA loan. So the down payment comes out to 6,125, which brings the loan down to $168,875, right? So person A's monthly principal and interest payment will be $754, and they're going to spend a total of $271,303 over the 30-year mortgage, right? That's person A. So now let's look at person B. So person B qualifies for the FHA loan, but since their credit was over it was under the requirement, they have to pay a 10% down. So this FHA stuff, don't worry too much about this. This is just an example. Those numbers have actually changed, but that's another topic. But anyways, for the example, this person has to pay 10% because their credit is 575, which comes out to $17,500. This is what they have to put for their down payment. So let's go to the first person. They had to put 6,125 versus this person already from $6,125 to 17. So just from your credit being a few points different. So person A was 745, so almost a little less than 200 credit score difference, and we're talking $11,000, a little more than $11,000. So that's a lot of money, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm trying to, if all it takes is for me to work on getting my credit a little bit better to save $11,000, I'll do that, because you could do a lot more with that 11,000 in the long run. But anyway, and then their interest rate is also higher. So now not only does person B have to pay more for a down payment, but they're going to end up paying more for the loan over the life of the loan. This is why it's so important to work on your credit. Things like this right here. So even though person B had to pay a larger down payment, the monthly principal and interest payment will be higher. It's going to be $870. So the total for this 30 mortgage for person B is going to be $313 and $313,099 versus this person who paid $271,000. So now person A got rewarded for having better credit. They got rewarded in two areas of this. They got rewarded for the down payment, which they only had to pay 3.5%. And they also got rewarded for their interest for the loan, and they only had to pay $271,000 versus this person who had to pay $313,000. So it sucks, right? You would think the person would be able to afford more, or however you want to look at it, but this is how it works. Like, the person who has less is going to be penalized the most. The person whose credit is lower than person's A, they're getting penalized. It sucks. I hate that it's this way. There's nothing I can do to change it. All I can do is teach others what they need to do to put themselves in a better position to get better rates. So yeah, it's crazy. All right, so same home price, but person B has to pay $53,000 more, all because of their credit score. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. What it comes down to, working on your credit. So if it takes you a couple of years, to get that house that you want, wait until your credit is better, to where you have to put a lower down payment, and the interest on the loan is going to be less. $53,000 over the life of the loan. That's a lot of money. You could turn that into something. Some places that's another home. Depending on where you're at in the United States, that's a duplex or a triplex. I got a triplex for $38,000 in a state that's 3 units. That's bringing me back money that costs less than that. Man, so yeah. So this is why this stuff is important, you guys. Seriously. Person A, $6,125 for their down payment, $754 monthly payments, and their total mortgage came out to $271,000 versus person B, $17,500 down payment, higher monthly payment, higher mortgage. They're just getting hit left and right. This person can't catch a break. And this is why I say you got to be responsible, because stuff just starts piling on you left and right. It's like, it's already tough as it is out there. Life is already hard. Everyone already has enough stuff going on. Everyone has their ups and their downs. So it's like, you got all that other bullshit going on in your life that you really can't have no control over. But these are things that you can control, right? I'm always preaching, control what you can control. This is something that you can control. You can control if you use your credit card or not. You can control if you're keeping your payments down. You can control how often you're doing it. This is all you. No one's telling you to go spend. Just go swipe your credit card, be responsible, right? Help yourself. Sometimes we got to help ourselves out. And this is one of the ways that you can help yourself out. Seriously, you can get out of a lot. This credit stuff is a lot more, it's a lot bigger than just fixing your credit, because now not only are you fixing your credit and you get this lower down payment and you get these lower mortgages, but when you do get into real estate, now it's like now you can start building generational wealth. You can start getting this passive income coming in. You can teach your family members, you can teach your friends. A lot of my friends and family members, they didn't know anything about credit. They didn't know how to improve their credit. They didn't know how to check their credit. I didn't have no one telling me, hey, make sure your credit is good so you can go do this. I didn't have anybody telling me how important it was, right? I just knew that, luckily I did get that. If you can't afford to pay for it in cash, you can't afford it, right? I had that mentality most of my life growing up. It was a good mentality to keep me out of debt, but also it was a bad mentality from making me become a responsible adult and use credit the right way so I could have leveraged it earlier in my life. But like I said, it's never too late. It's never too late to start. So, all right away from this example, we can see how important it is having better credit. Just from this example, person A is saving $53,000 more than person B by being on top of their credit. All right. So I just ran off with a mouthful for you guys. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this within the hour. So I'm going to stop today's credit lesson on this note. So for any of you guys out there that have questions, we're getting ready to let's dive into some questions and let's see what you guys have for things that we've covered today. Or if you guys just have any other questions that you're curious about, start firing them away.
Joined the call a little late, so I wasn't sure if you can answer or if you explained this. But do you suggest Credit Karma as a reference to check your credit, or
It's so the thing about Credit Karma is that it's good, right? It's decent, but I wouldn't say use that as end all be all, because Credit Karma is a third party. It's not your three majors, so they get the information a little bit later than TransUnion, Equifax, and those things. So it's not bad, but don't use that as word, if that makes sense.
so basically what you said is don't you necessarily use that as a reference. Go
I'm
straight
sorry,
to
you
TransUnion or
broke up a
Experian.
little bit. Can you repeat that?
No, I said so. You would suggest using Credit Karma as a reference,
So as a reference, as far as what? Like a reference to look at your credit?
as your as yeah, look at your credit because I go there
Right. So
and
the good so
I have
Credit Karma is good. Don't get me
good
wrong,
credit
because
based on what they're saying. They're saying I have 800, not 100% sure.
Credit Karma is going to have all your information on there unless you opened up something recently. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer to show, but as far as like your past employment history, any credit cards that you currently have or past have, any loans that you've had, any delinquencies, don't get me wrong, Credit Karma is going to be good. But I'm saying is that your credit score might not be as up to date because Credit Karma does get their information 3 weeks to a month later than the actual credit agencies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. All right,
Okay,
cool. Appreciate it.
no problem.
What would you recommend as far as a starter credit card for someone who's got a very bad credit score?
That's a good question. If you can, do you have anyone that will add you as a approved user on their credit card?
See, so I did a little bit of research. I think my father did that when I was a minor, and
Okay,
he added me on there. So I have about 10 years of credit history. But
right.
due to a couple of medical bills and stuff like that, my credit is just shot. So I'm wondering what my options are as far as like trying to get that turned around.
Right. Him added you. If somebody else can add you, that would be great. Anytime someone adds you, that just helps right there. That's one of the easiest things that you can do is just have someone that has good credit add you as an approved user. That doesn't even mean that you're necessarily going to get a credit card. You don't have to get a credit card under their account, but they can still just add you just to help you out, right? And that's what a lot of these agencies. Hopefully, none of these credit repair people are on here and come after me, but this is what a lot of those guys do, right? They'll charge you a lot up front, and all they'll do is just add you as an approved user on their account, but you'll never even know that. You won't get a car unless they say, hey, this person could get a car and things like that. So that's going to be one thing that you can do. And just start. Have you tried to apply for any type of credit cards or what?
No, I have not started yet just because I don't want to get into the wrong situation and make a mistake. That's the only reason why.
Okay. Yeah. If you do, like I said, maybe if you get on a credit card with your father, or if if you just get a small credit card with a small balance, that's just going to help and keep your balance down. Keep it. A lot of people used to say the rule of thumb that was keep your credit balance less than 30%. So that means for every $100, you want to keep it under 30. That was the 30% rule, but now it's actually the 15% rule. So you don't when your balance is due, you don't want to have your credit balance more than 15% of what your maximum spendable amount is. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually does. That's actually really good information. So, a follow-up question on that. So, when you're saying keep a balance, so for example, for every $100, I would spend $15, and of course, I'm going to pay that off at the end of the month or whenever
So
the bill is due.
you could spend as much as you want, but no contact whoever you get your credit card through. Know when they report your balance, right? Because every and a lot of people don't know this, and this is kind of getting a little ahead, but it's fine. So if you get a credit card through a bank or through a Macy's or a Shell gas, whatever, they report every month. They have a specific time when they report your balance to these credit agencies. So figure out when your date is that it gets reported, and then you want to get your balance under that 15% either a day or a couple of days before it's going to get reported, right? A lot of people think that it gets reported either on the 1st or the 30th. No, that's why you'll see sometimes you'll pay off your balance and then you'll go look at your credit report and you'll see that the balance isn't showing zero. And you're like, I just paid it down. That's because you paid it down after they reported, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sorry for asking so many questions, but
Uh,
so
you're good.
a
This is
follow-up question to that.
yeah,
So when you say carry a balance, you don't mean pay off the entire balance, right? You mean carry at least a 15% balance each
15.
month going forward.
Correct. 15% or lower. That puts you in the good spot. So that lets them know that you're able to borrow money and you are making your payments on time. That's what that's showing them. By you putting your balance to zero, it shows them that you can't, there's no need for you to borrow money, right? Because if you're not having a balance, you're just
Ah,
off all the time. So that in their eyes, in the bank's eyes, you're who they don't want. You're a person who's always paying on time. Banks don't make any money by you paying on time. And now I'm talking larger scale. I'm talking for car loans, home loans. They don't want someone who's paying their balance every month. They want someone who's always paying the minimum balance, these things like that. But if you keep it under 15%, that's in their eyes, that's they're rewarding you. Okay, you're borrowing, you're not paying your balance off, so we're going to give you some rewards.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. That educated me a lot, so I appreciate it very,
No
very much.
problem. No problem. Good questions.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
How big of an impact does student loans have, like when you're trying to go for like a house or mortgage, something like
Right.
that?
Yeah, it's gonna impact like everything else on your credit report. So did you see the? Let me scroll back to the very beginning. Um, I'm gonna keep this one up. So yeah, it's gonna have the same impact effect like other things are gonna have on your credit, right? So it's like just keep paying those student loans down. Look in based on what your job is and your state. There's a lot of programs that a lot of people don't even know about, and a lot of people don't even talk about it, which kind of sucks because um, a lot of states, if you have like a government job, if you have a state job, if you have like a county job, things like that, or even just certain jobs that you might be a part of, you might be a part of a union, and certain unions qualify for student loan forgiveness as well. So there's a lot of outlets out there. Google, your state and Google student loan relief programs and or just different
Mm.
programs and start looking for that stuff to help you out because that's just going to help. Once you get those student loans taken care of, that's going to help your credit out as well. But keep it as long as you're making your payments on time and they're not delinquent, it's going to keep helping you over time because the length That's going to be that 15% of your credit. And then it's also going to be the current total debt is going to also go down, and your payment history is going to be going down. So it's like you're going to be helping your credit in three different ways.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Hey, can I chime in on that? I'm an LO, so I want to kind of give some info.
Go ahead, please.
Um, yeah. So also when you looking to buy a home, if you go FHA, they use 1% of what you owe. So if you owe 30,000, we'll use 1%, which is equivalent to 300 a month. If you go conventional, which is a higher score, we use an IDR, which is an income driven payment plan, and that you can get that from ever servicing company that you with.
That's good info, man. Thanks for sharing that. I actually never even knew that, and that's really good information for me to pass on to other people.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right, you guys. Any other questions? Like I said, we're starting. This is just for those of you that might have came in late. We're just starting from the very beginning. So I'm just covering a few things for this go around this class. So the next class we're gonna pick up where I left off at, and we're gonna continue. So don't think that this was everything or we covered everything. We still got a lot more to cover on credit. I'm just trying to take it piece by piece at a time and let people ask questions that they have.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So I was searching for a car. So I was going to a bank for a car loan just to see what
Uh-huh.
I could get.
Right.
But I'm also planning to buy a house not in the near future. So
Ooh,
I saw that my credit score got hit when they, ran it for the possible car loan.
right.
So how long will that last on my credit score? Because I'm thinking I should probably buy the house before the car since.
It was they just ran a soft inquiry on your loan. I mean on your
Right,
credit. Yeah,
right.
soft inquiries don't stay on there typically long, and when a lot of these lenders run your credit, they know the difference between a soft and a hard inquiry, anyways. But keep this in mind: if you do get the car loan before you get your home, that's going to be seen as more debt. That's gonna put your debt to income ratio worse, and you don't want that. So out of recommendation for someone who's been doing this for a while, I would recommend if you know you want to get that home, if you can hold off on getting that car loan, hold off as long as you can until you get that home loan. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Uh,
thank you.
Yeah. So if you can,
Question.
if if whatever you can do, hold off on getting that car loan until you get your home. But if you need to get it, if you need to get the loan to get your car, then do what you got to do for yourself. But if you want to take a recommendation, I would recommend do it that way.
So I just wanted to
Hey,
chime in on that real quick. Uh,
Go ahead.
when I was getting my last car loan, they were saying because there was like a lot of different inquiries,
Uh
they
huh.
were saying that if it happened within this like the same period, like within a couple weeks, then it wouldn't look as bad. Like they would count it like one inquiry.
Right.
I don't know if you know if that's
So
true or
these
not.
the lenders and stuff, they'll know right away. So it's a lot of times people think that's going to hurt them, but lenders know the hard inquiries versus the soft inquiries. So it's not going to be too big of a deal when trying to get a loan unless it's a hard inquiry. So for those soft ones, they already know and they know what to look for on that.
hey, I
Hi, I
would
have
help
a
the young
question.
lady out. What she can do is she can open an account for a
Uh-huh.
car loan in someone else's name. Pay for it in someone else's name. We can remove it from her debt to income, or we can show 12 months of someone else paying the car note. So you get the car note in your name, but have someone pay it out of their account for 12 months. We would exclude it.
Hmm. Good information right there. Who's next?
Hey, I have a question about car loans. So
Hey.
I'm upside down on a car loan, and I'm trying to decide if it's worth doing bankruptcy. My credit is like 750 and 780, and
Uh-huh.
I'm upside down like probably 10, 15, between 10 and 15,000 because of
Uh-huh.
military and back and forth.
Right.
So would you think it's best to do bankruptcy for the car loan or just try to ride it out?
Um, honestly, that's I don't think the bankruptcy is the route you want to go, especially just for that. You know what I mean? And I say just for that because you don't want to go bankruptcy for over $10,000. So if anything, there's a few other scenarios. It's going to be based on it's that's a tough one to kind of give you for many reasons. Because one, I don't want to give you wrong advice, but kind of if I'm going off of what I would personally do, I wouldn't go into bankruptcy over that. I would just slowly work on taking care of that. So maybe, try to get some other income to knock that out. Or do you still have the vehicle? Are you able to sell it at all?
I still have the vehicle, and I actually have two vehicles. I read there was something I could do for just cars, but then I would have to turn in my second vehicle, which is bigger for my truckload of kids.
Right. Would you be
um,
would you be able to sell this current vehicle that you're under on, or you said it's not even a possibility?
what is it? We could sell it, but it would still be on large payments.
Right. So if you were to sell it, do you know how much you could get from it if you were to sell it? Because this is just because what I'm thinking is that if you were to sell the vehicle that you're under, whatever money you can get from that, use that to pay off the 10,000 or whatever it is that you owe, and that's just going to make whatever it is you owe a little bit less on that. So you can
I
take care
think if
of
we
that. So
sold it, it would be like probably like 12, 13 or 15,000 left. So it's pretty much half of what's owed.
you could get about half for it, about what's
Yeah.
owed. So if you were to sell it, take that money, put it towards what you owe, that's just going to knock it in half, and that's just going to allow you to pay it faster, and that's going to keep you from having to file for bankruptcy.
Okay. Thanks.
And one more question. I was taking some notes. Um, what was the negative impact of a hard inquiry? I know you went over it. I just really quickly. Sorry.
Yeah. So the negative impact is it will make your score go down, and then also lenders look at that. So if you go to get a home or if you go to get any type of loan, lenders are going to look and see that you're constantly getting hard inquiries. So it's just going to hurt your score. It's going to make your score go down, and lenders are going to see that as well. So that just means you're either constantly trying to get loans, different things like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Quick
I
question to
got
add.
one question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, I'm still young to get a credit card, but how long would it take to get a good score?
If, your parents can add you, or if you have parents or whoever watches you, they can. If they have a credit card, they can add you as an approved. Forgetting the terminology. They can allow you as an approved spender, pretty much. So they can add you to their credit, and then that's going to help your credit as long as you're over. I believe you have to be 14 is what the age is. So as long as you're over 14, they can add you as an approved spender on their account, which will help you start building your credit now. Someone that spoke earlier, so he said that his parents did it with him as well.
That sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
Can you
Quick
post your
question.
IG on the chat somewhere just so we know? Thanks.
Who had the quick question?
Yeah. Regarding the car loan, I actually recently had to get a car loan from my job, and I already have another car loan or whatever. So I have two car loans or whatever, and I was thinking about refinancing on the new vehicle I got to kind of lower my monthly payment. Would you suggest that as a good idea to do just to save the money or whatever, or should I just thug it out and just
Yeah.
continue to pay
So,
on?
so refinance if it makes sense, right? So as long as your payments are going to be lower, and you're gonna and it's not gonna mess up your bottom line overall, do it. But if the numbers don't make sense, don't refinance. A lot of people will
Okay.
refinance because they have lower monthly payments, but how long is it going to push now? How long is it going to push your loan out, and how much are you going to end up spending overall now with this new refinance?
Well, I don't think the new refinance will hurt me necessarily as far as um, the overall distance it pushes it out, because
Right.
the car is paid for through my company or whatever, and I put extra money on it anyway or whatever. My
Right.
car note is that the car note as of right now is at 680 a month. I pay 1,000 on it just to be paying it off faster or whatever, but I was going to refinance it to lower the payment and add the additional money I'm already paying on it already.
Okay, so yeah, so that's good. So yeah, as long as your bottom line, um, when you're done with this loan isn't crazy or anything like that, then as long as it's gonna benefit you, then refinance.
No, it's not gonna hurt me in that way. But I was just curious: is it going to really like it? Would it affect my credit score like substantially?
It's gonna help you because your payment history is gonna be longer. So
Okay.
as long as you're staying on top of your payments, like I said, that's why I said in the beginning, never cancel credit cards that you pay off because they're looking at how long the length, right? So
Okay.
you
Okay.
refinancing is not going to hurt your credit. It's going to make your payment history longer with that.
Now, as far as the second vehicle, I was thinking about paying that one off completely, and I was thinking like I don't know. From your opinion, I'm trying to buy a house within the next 6 months to a year. Would
It,
you suggest I just keep stacking that money for the house,
it
or
depends.
pay this other vehicle off?
And I got to ask you a couple semi-personal questions if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Okay, so what's your percentage that on that loan that you're talking about right now? Do you know what the percentage is?
That or I'm not 100% sure. I think it's 5%
Okay,
interest on
so
that vehicle.
so my question would be, on your own, are you capable to make 5% of your money on your own via through the stock market or whatever it is that you know how to do?
Yeah, I'm invested in the market now, and I'm about
Okay,
to try to
so
get into flipping pallets.
if you can make more than that 5% that you would pay, then I would recommend just keep paying it. But
Okay.
if you can't make 5% on your own, then I would recommend just paying it off. Because
Okay.
look at it this way: if you pay it off, right, that means that you don't have to pay that interest, and that's the good things of that. But you're taking that portion of your money, and that money is gone towards that. But if you can make 5% or better yourself, now you don't have to worry about taking a big chunk of the money, and the same money that you would take to pay that off, invest it however you do invest it, and once you get those returns, then you can knock it out. Does that make sense?
Definitely, definitely.
All right,
Appreciate it.
no problem.
Is there any negative impacts for holding a credit card but not actively using it?
Nope, no negative impacts at all. I got credit cards that I haven't used forever. And you know what? I used to cut up my credit cards and close out the accounts until I was in my office and I was telling this guy what I was doing, and he was asking me, he was like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I don't use it. He's like, you're hurting yourself. So that's when I went and did the research and found out that as long as uh your credit increases as the length of your credit card history increases. So you can have history without a payment, right? You don't have to have a balance to keep history. That history stops the moment you close that account, or if that company goes under or another bank takes over those credit cards that they issue. But other than that, if as long as you don't ever close your credit card account and there's no balance, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you because that's helping your length of credit history, and that's that portion that's 15%.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right, we'll go for a couple. We'll do two more questions, you guys.
Hey, just quickly, I was wondering if you were gonna cover like creative ways to turn credit to cash.
Um, I don't know, man. That's a little bit different than what this is trying to be. This
Okay.
part of the credit is more to teach people how they can build their credit up, and the history of what credit history is and things like that. That's going to be a little bit something different, and probably after I get done with this, I'll probably be coming on here and freestyling a lot. So I'll be talking about how to turn credit to cash, how to get real estate with credit cards, how to leverage your credit cards to do other things. So, we can really, you guys are going to have me for a while. I'm a Wealth Squad teacher. As long as you guys are here with us, I'm going to be here with you guys. And if you guys follow me on social media, you guys know I talk about a lot of creative strategies, with this bank turning. There's a lot of good creative ways. So, if you guys would be patient with me and ride this along, I'm going to be dropping a lot of different methods and ways, tricks, hacks, for you guys to leverage these banks, because that's the overall goal. Like, it doesn't hurt me telling you guys all this information, showing you guys how I make money and leverage these different banks. It's not going to hurt me at all. It's just going to help you guys out, and that's the whole reasoning for it. So, but maybe
Cool. So initially, this is about building as
this is
opposed
about
to.
this is about understanding your credit, understanding uh how your credit takes a hit, understanding the importance of having good credit and building it up and things like that. That's what this
Oh,
portion is for right now.
okay, cool. Thanks.
No problem.
What was your Instagram name?
My Instagram name is NoTimeZone with two O's. So NoOTIMEZONE.
Thank you.
No problem.
I was wondering if you covered anything about trade lines. I jumped on a little too late.
No, I didn't talk anything about trade lines.
Okay, I was just curious because I just recently fixed my credit, but it's not it was just bumped up to fair.
Yeah.
But they had mentioned something about opening a couple of trade lines. I don't know if you'd suggest if it's a safe play or not. I did a couple of research, but it wasn't really explained like what exactly it was, and it was a little confusing for me since I've this is the first time I've ever worked with my credit to be fixed.
Right. That's a
Um,
little more into something else.
okay.
Shoot me a message offline and I can point you to someone. That would just get really complex and it kind of get us way
Oh,
off of what I was talking
oh,
about here.
alrighty. Okay.
But yeah, shoot me a message and then I'll put you in contact with someone that knows a lot about that because
On Wealth Squad,
um on my social media.
Instagram. Okay, awesome. And you said it was a no time zone with two O's, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you, man.
no problem. All right, you guys, one more question. What do you guys got for me? All
What was
right.
the most important thing you learned when you started building your credit? The most important thing.
Oh man, the most important thing that I learned. Um, I want to say keeping the credit cards open was really important. And because I was opening, because remember how I said in the beginning, I was churning a lot of cards. So I was opening a lot of cards at the time because I was just using them for the reward. So I would get the reward money and I would close them out, get the reward money and close them out. I would cancel them. And that was actually hurting my credit. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why until I dug deeper and I figured that out. So I think that was one of the most important things. Another thing that was very important, it sounds very obvious, but stay on top of your payments, whether if you're paying the minimum, do not miss a payment no matter what. Like make it a priority, put it in your phone, write it on the calendar where you can see when you need to make that payment. Do not go don't miss a month or don't be late because it's really gonna hurt you. Even if you have the money and you've been paying 100 straight months in a row and you miss that one time, it's gonna hurt you. So make sure you pay your stuff on time. Don't close out any accounts. Uh, be active with this, right? You gotta take some responsibility and be active. You gotta stay on top of these people you're getting loans from because sometimes they will mess up information. You gotta understand it's another person that's putting in your information on the other end. So there's gonna be mess ups. There's gonna be overcharges. There's gonna be things that might show up that's not even in your name. It might be a letter off and it might somehow end up on your credit report. So yeah, it's been a journey, but those are some of the most important things I learned along the way.
Perfect. Thank you
Real
so much for everything tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. One more quick question. Is it like really detrimental if you like one day late, like you just
It is.
missed it by midnight and then
Yep. Yep. It is. It's very detrimental. That's why I say figure out when they send off your balance every month, right? Figure out when they send off your balance. And that way you know that okay, a couple of days before that, I would recommend doing whatever if you're doing your minimum payments or whatever type of payments you do. I would say don't wait to that last day. Wait, do it a couple of days before, or even maybe a week before, just to give yourself that leeway. Whatever you do, don't miss you guys' payments. Please don't, because they don't care about they don't care what you have going on. They don't care that you had a family emergency. They don't care, if your lights just got cut off. They don't care if you didn't eat this week. They don't care. They've heard it all. They're not gonna give you no pity. So the name of the game is we have to take their rules and use that against them. So when I was talking about earlier, leveraging these banks to leverage these credits. So this is why if you stay on top of your credit down the road, when I start talking about how to leverage your credit, you guys are gonna learn how to get money from these banks and pretty much not have to pay any of the interest, not have to pay it. Once you really know and tap into what you can do, but it takes you being responsible. It takes you making your payments on time. It takes you, building your credit up for the next 5 to 7 years and actually staying on top of it. You have to actively stay involved, making sure you have different types of credit, making sure your payment history is good, making sure your total debts is less than 15%, making sure the length of the history is good. You know what I mean? So it's like you get rewarded for the better and the more you do it, the more you stay on top of things, the more you get rewarded down the road because if you bust your ass for the next 5 to 7 years getting your credit to that 750, 800 range, now you're tapping into a whole nother world where you can start to leverage your credit onto other things. So just keep that in mind. Keep that
And
in
you're
mind.
going to go in detail more about this as you go
Oh,
on with your classes.
absolutely. So
Right.
I would say if I were you guys, tap into all my classes because I'm always going to be on subject, but you guys might ask some questions or I might just rant off and start talking about other things. I enjoy talking with you guys. I enjoy, like I said, I just learned something new earlier from one of you guys. Like I said, I don't know everything. I'm not claiming that I know everything. If you guys ask me something and I don't know it, I promise you I'll just say I don't know. Um, like I said, these are just things that I know that work for me. My credit score is over 800. It's been 800 for a while. Not to brag, but because I busted my ass to get it there. Right. I've had different types of credit. I've done my research. I've made sure I paid all my bills on time. So it's like you got to work for this stuff, but then it's like you get rewarded. The harder you work at this, the more you'll be able to get rewarded down the road. So it's like now I'm able to reap all those rewards by leveraging these banks and all these lenders because that's all I do. I don't use my money for anything. My money goes and makes me money, and I leverage these banks for them to fund all my different projects, and that's what I want all you guys to be doing as well because it's possible.
Hello.
Yep.
Hey, I have a question, bro. So I got my credit cards. It's sitting probably like at $1,000 right now
Mm-hmm.
that I gotta pay off, and
Mm-hmm.
they got my credit score sitting at like 599.
Okay.
So I was wondering, should I pay off like the entire lump sum, or should I just do
Bump your credit score up a whole lot, which is crazy because that goes down to them wanting to see that you can make the payments on time. So if anything, I would say increase your payments. Don't pay the minimum payments. Don't fully pay it off, but however much you can pay to get it down to pay it off quicker would help your credit out a lot more versus you just paying it off. If that makes sense.
yeah?
Yeah. So I would, and then like I said, just depends on what your situation is, how much, what's the percentage on that loan that you have, how much are you paying in interest, things like that. So, but I would recommend just pay a good portion of it. You could pay a big chunk down, and then get it down, and then just make those payments, and then like I said, that credit history, that length of having that history, and then also once you get those debts under 15%, that's the stuff that's going to be helping you out.
All right, appreciate that, bro.
All right. All right, you guys. Like I said, hopefully you guys learned some good stuff today. You guys have some great questions. If you guys have any other questions or things like that, shoot me a DM on any of my social media. I try to get to you guys as best as I can. If I don't get to you, I promise you it's not because I'm not trying to answer anybody's questions or blowing you guys off. I promise you that. I get a lot of messages, so I try my best to get through all of them. And it's me. I don't hire anybody to do my messages because I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information and things like that. So if you have any other questions on things that we talked about today, or if you just got any other general questions, please hit me up. If not, I'll be back on Thursday and I'm going to be talking about travel. So if any of you guys are travelers, I'm going to be dropping some heat on travel because you guys know I get excited when it comes to traveling. So I might turn that into a 5-hour session if you guys rock with me that long. But I hope everybody has a good day. Yeah, everyone be easy.
Thanks, Ace.
No doubt.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate
All
you,
Thanks,
brother.
guys. Have a good night.
right, you guys have a good
Good night.
night.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Yep.